And this Saturday morning, 9 a.m. class the theme is always yoga for everybody. And that's the compound word and also the separate words, everybody and everybody. So the idea for this practice is I'll be giving a lot of modifications for a lot of these poses so that maybe if you're newer to the practice that you'll be able to maybe access the poses if you're not able to get into the fullest extent of it. But we'll get started by taking a child's pose. So whenever you're ready, bring yourselves down to your hands and your knees. Place your knees about as wide as your yoga mat. And bring your big toes to touch behind you. Arms are stretched out long in front. Palms are facing down. Forehead is resting on the mat and the hips are reaching back towards your heels. And just take these first few moments of the practice to kind of settle in and just kind of allow yourself to take up some room on your yoga mat and just kind of get the feeling of being on your yoga mat preparing for this practice. And if you can, begin to deepen your inhales and your exhales. And let it be a slow transition. It's not something that happens instantaneously. Let it occur over the course of 5 or even 6 breaths. And as you breathe deeper, just know that we're not forcing the breath. We're allowing it to organically expand. And the other thing I'd like you to be mindful of for your practice today is to really embrace your own unique individuality. So with each pose and each posture, don't be afraid to modify or to make each of these poses more your own. Some of the greatest lessons I've learned on my own yoga mat have actually come from within. When I have had the courage to express the poses in maybe a more unique way for myself, and that's when I found my own place within the pose that works best for me. So don't be afraid to experiment and play around a little bit today if you feel so inclined. And so from there, as you take your next inhale, begin to rise up to a tabletop position, placing hands beneath shoulders, knees below hips. The spine is neutral. We're going to ease into a cow pose on the inhale. So bring your gaze up, your chest up. Sitting bones are up. The belly hangs low like a hammock. Just give it a moment here. Maybe swaying the hips from side to side. You're always welcome to bring movement into any pose that feels right to you. Now on your exhale, start to move to cat pose. Round your back to the ceiling. Pull your navel towards your spine. Bring your gaze down to your knees. Just give this pose a moment or two as well. Now with the breath, we'll begin to flow. On your next inhale, bring it back to cow. Exhale, cat. We'll do 2 more. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. 1 more time. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. We'll return to our tabletop pose, neutral spine. Now with both palms remaining on the mat, just step your left foot behind you onto the ball of your left foot and just lightly reach your left heel to the back of the space. Just bringing a little bit of length to that left calf group of muscles. Now keeping the palms still on the mat, on your inhale, engage your left glute and lift your left leg off the ground, foot is flexed. Once your left leg is lifted, extend your right arm towards the front of the space, thumb is facing up. Now imagine your spine is lengthened and feel your core strong and engaged. From here, on your exhale, bring your right elbow and left knee to touch underneath you. Inhale, extend the arm and leg long. Exhale, elbow and knee touch. We'll do one more. Inhale, reach it out. Exhale, squeeze together. Inhale, extend and pause for a moment. On the exhale, set your hand and your knee back upon your mat, tabletop pose. Go through another round of cow and cat on your own, nice and easy. We'll bring it back to our tabletop pose with the neutral spine. And when you're ready, keep your palms on the mat, but step your right foot behind you onto the ball of your right foot and gently reach the right heel to the back of the space. And just waking up the calf muscles. It's not extreme, not too deep. Now with your palms still on the ground, on your inhale, right glute is engaged. Lift the right leg up off the ground. And once you feel ready to do so, extend the left arm forward as well. Thumb is facing the sky. Feel that core engagement. Feel that spine lengthening. On the exhale, elbow and knee come together underneath you. Inhale, extend arm and leg long. Exhale, elbow and knee touch. We'll do one more. Inhale, reach it out. Exhale, squeeze it together. Inhale, extend, pause for a moment. Exhale, release, tabletop pose. One more time, cycle through a cow and cat with your breath. And as you complete that cycle of cow and cat, we'll be meeting in downward facing dog. So plant your palms, tuck your toes, and reach your hips back. And give yourself some time to settle into down dog. For me, I like to just pedal out my heels a little bit. Another way to warm up the calves. We're looking to create stillness in the pose once we feel settled. Plugging into your palms, reaching your thigh bones back. Head and neck are relaxed. And for me, it's kind of nice to find a focal point to fixate your gaze upon in downward dog. For me, I always kind of gaze at the back edge of my yoga mat. That just helps you keep the mind settled and focused on the task at hand. And from this first downward facing dog, on your exhale, start to step your way to the top of your yoga mat. And we'll arrive in a ragdoll pose. Feet are wide, hip width or more. Let your upper body hang loose, but know that you can bend your knees as deeply as you need to. For me, sometimes it feels nice to bend the knees quite deeply and allow my torso just to rest on the thighs. It's a very gentle way of taking the pose. Feel free to grasp the hands to the opposite biceps. Let your head and neck be relaxed and loose. Now from here, release your hands down to the ground. Begin to toe heel your feet together. And on your inhale, come to a halfway lift. So a flat back, but feel the core engaged. On your next exhale, forward fold. We'll do that again. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale, return to forward fold. Now your next inhale, rise all the way to a mountain pose. Once the torso is vertical, extend both arms up overhead. Pausing for a brief moment. And on your exhale, place your hands together at your heart, standing at attention. Give yourself 3 deep breaths here. Feel free to close your eyes. Just take in all the sensations around you. Taking everything in, but fixating upon nothing. Just let it wash over you. On the exhale, eyes open, arms drop down to your sides. We'll inhale back up to mountain pose, extend the arms high. As you exhale, swan dive, come all the way down, forward fold. Inhale to a halfway lift. Exhale your palms to the mat. Step your feet back to a high plank pose. And pause here for just a moment. Try to feel solid and stable here, pressing the yoga mat away from you with both palms. Solidifying everything with a core and quadriceps strongly engaged. And on your exhale, hug your elbows tightly to your sides as you come all the way onto your belly. Once there, untuck your toes, keep your hands beneath your shoulders for 3 baby cobras. On your inhale, lift your head, shoulders, and chest up off the ground. Exhale, set it down. We'll do 2 more. Inhale, baby cobra, nice and easy. Exhale, release. Last one. Inhale, baby cobra. Exhale, set it down. Tuck your toes back underneath. Next inhale, press up to high plank pose. And then exhale to a downward facing dog. Now, before we proceed, I just want you to know whenever we flow today, I'll be cueing an upward facing dog. But know that you can take upward dog. You can hold high plank just for strength. You can take a yogi push-up coming halfway down and back up. Or you can always skip everything and just go directly to downward dog. So know that there's options and choices whenever you need to make them. And we'll move through 1 breath per movement. So on your next exhale, step or jump to the top of your mat. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale to mountain pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, high to low plank. Inhale to upward dog or your transition of choice. Exhale, downward facing dog. We'll pause here for 1 inhale. On your exhale, step or hop to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, mountain pose, rise and reach. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, high to low plank. Inhale, up dog or your transition. Exhale, down dog. Take an inhale here. As you exhale, step or float to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, mountain pose. Ride the breath up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, high to low plank. Inhale, up dog or your transition. Exhale, down dog. Pause here to inhale. As you exhale, step or jump to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, mountain pose 1 more time. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, high to low plank. Inhale, up dog or your transition. Exhale, down dog. Take an inhale here. As you exhale, step or hop to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, mountain pose. Now from mountain pose, on your exhale, start to move into chair pose. So chair pose, the arms are either overhead or hands are at your heart, a little easier on the shoulders. Hips are reaching back, knees are bending. Core is active and strong. Breath is deep and steady. Let's see if we can sit in this chair pose for a couple more breaths at least. This is a great pose to build up some heat, building this heat from the inside out, especially important on a cold morning like today. And on your exhale, Forward fold, nice job. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale, high to low plank. Inhale, up dog or your transition. Exhale, downward facing dog. On your inhale, lift your right leg high. Exhale, step between your hands. Inhale, rise to warrior one. So warrior one, right foot is facing forward. Nice bend to the right knee. The knee's either above or behind the right ankle, not protruding beyond it. Sole of your left foot is sealed into the mat. Arms are up above, shoulders squaring forward. Hips can be off center to the left as much as needed. Now from warrior one, on your exhale, start to airplane your arms. Draw your torso forward and sweep your arms back. Now with the torso, you can either hover it over the right thigh or you can rest it upon it for a little more support. Now on your inhale, come back to warrior one. Nice. Pause here. On your exhale, hands release to the mat. Right foot steps back, high plank, low plank. Inhale, up dog or your transition. Exhale, downward facing dog. With your inhale, lift your left leg high. Exhale, step between your hands. Inhale to warrior one on the left. And another thing about all these poses is that never be in a rush. Allow yourself to come into the poses at your speed. If your hips are feeling a little tight, sometimes it can feel a little nicer to widen your feet on your mat. So know that option's available as well. Now from here, on your exhale, airplane your arms. Torso comes forward. Sweep the arms back. And we're gently drawing the shoulder blades together. We're reaching the fingertips to the back of the space. Pull the shoulders away from your ears. On the next inhale, bring it up to warrior one once more. Exhale, hands release down. Left foot steps back, high plank. Low plank, inhale, up dog or your transition. Exhale, downward facing dog. Now that sequence will be our second flow today, our sun salutation B. And we'll move through it one breath per movement, always moving at your speed. So on your next exhale, step or jump to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, mountain pose. Exhale to chair pose. Remain in chair for the inhale. On the exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, high to low plank. Inhale, up dog or your transition. Exhale, down dog. Inhale your right leg. Exhale, step it forward. Inhale, warrior one. Exhale, airplane arms. Inhale, warrior one. Exhale, high to low plank. Inhale, up dog or your transition. Exhale, down dog. Inhale your left leg. Exhale, step it through. Inhale, warrior one. Exhale, airplane arms. Inhale, warrior one. Exhale, high to low plank. Inhale, up dog or your transition. Exhale, down dog one more time. Inhale your right leg. Exhale, send it through. Inhale, warrior one. Exhale, airplane arms. Inhale, warrior one. Exhale, high to low plank. Inhale, up dog or your transition. Exhale, down dog. Inhale the left leg. Exhale, send it through. Inhale, warrior one. Exhale, airplane arms. Inhale, back to 1. Exhale, high to low plank. Inhale, up dog or your transition. Exhale to down dog. Let's pause here and take 3 deep rounds of breath. And know that at any point today, you can, on any exhale, you can always do an open mouth, almost like a sighing exhale. That can be a nice way to let out any excess heat if you feel like it's built up a little too much within your body. So those are cleansing, cooling breaths if you ever need them. Let's take one more full round of breath in downward facing dog. And from downward facing dog, on the inhale, lift your right leg high. As you exhale, step between your hands for a low lunge, and let's take a twist here. Left palm remains on the mat. Rotate your right arm up towards the ceiling. It's just a nice, easy twist. Imagine the right shoulder is being stacked on the left. On your exhale, set your right hand back upon the mat. On your inhale, come up to a crescent lunge. Press into your right foot. Rise up to standing. Bring your torso vertical. Now your back leg is so important in crescent lunge. Your back leg is anchoring and supporting the pose, pressing into the ball of the left foot if you can, with your left heel elevated off the mat. And importantly, keep your core engaged to hold the upper and lower parts of the pose together. And from crescent lunge, on your exhale, take a tall twist to the right. Draw your right arm towards the back. Bring your left arm forward. Torso is gently opening to the right side of the space. Now from here, on the inhale, bring it back to crescent lunge. Pause at the top. On your exhale, hands release to the mat, runner's lunge. Release the left knee to the mat. Place both hands inside of your right foot. You can move the right foot forward and outside if you need to. And you can either remain on your palms or drop onto your forearms to go even deeper into the stretch. What we're trying to do here is just bring some length to our left hip flexor group of muscles. And if you don't feel anything at all, use your palms or your fists to help draw your hips slightly forward while keeping your left knee anchored. That should create sensation of stretching in your hip flexor group. Now, if you did release onto your forearms, come back up onto your palms and we'll prepare for a half splits here. So bring your right foot to the center of the mat, hands either side of the right foot, and just kind of reach the hips back as you straighten into your right leg. Now you can either keep your torso nice and tall, or you can begin to fold over the right leg a little bit deeper to go further into your right hamstring here. Now with our breathing, I want to flow between these two poses just for a little bit of mobility and to get the body moving. So on your next inhale, come forward back to runner's lunge. As you exhale, reach your hips back for half splits. 2 more times. Inhale, forward, runner's lunge. Exhale, send the hips back, half splits. Last one. Inhale, forward, runner's lunge. Exhale, reach it back, half splits. Inhale, forward, final time. Plant your palms, tuck your toes, send your right leg back, 3-legged downward dog. And see if you can gently open your hip here. Feel the right heel drop towards your left shoulder blade. And just give it a moment or two here. Maybe some movement, maybe not, your choice. And on your inhale, send the right leg high to the sky. And on your exhale, just land it behind you in downward facing dog. And we'll get right into the other side. On the inhale, left leg will lift. Exhale, step between your hands, low lunge, take the twist. Right palm is grounded, left arm rotates up. Try to feel a strong point of contact, not only in the right palm, but also in the sole of your left foot. Really feel those two appendages anchor the pose. On your exhale, set your left hand on the mat. Make sure your feet are nice and wide, and then come up for a crescent lunge. Torso is vertical, arms reaching up. Biceps are either side of your ears. Most importantly, still breathing deeply and in a controlled manner. Now from Crescent Lunge, with your exhale, take that tall twist left. Draw the left arm back. Bring the right arm forward. And the only thing I really tell people to pay attention to in the tall twist is to make sure you're not twisting so deep that it's compromising either your balance or your breathing. Prioritize both of those elements. Now on the inhale, bring it back to Crescent Lunge. With your exhale, release your hands down, set the right knee down as well. Runner's lunge. Hands inside the left foot. And again, staying on the palms or drop to the forearms, your choice. Just take a couple deep breaths here. And this is a counter pose for those of us that do spend a lot of time in a seated position, especially at a desk or maybe in a car. If you drop to the forearms, bring it back up onto your palms, sliding the left foot to the center of the mat. Hands are framing the left foot. And begin to reach your hips back for your half splits. And we're keeping just a micro bend in the left knee here. We're not locking it out completely. And just feel the hamstring lengthen. Give it a breath or two more. Now, just like before, with the breath, we'll begin to flow between those two moves. On your inhale, come forward, back to runner's lunge. Exhale, send the hips back for half splits. Two more of these. Inhale, forward, runner's lunge. Exhale, back, half splits. Last one. Inhale, forward, runner's lunge. Exhale, back, half splits. Inhale, forward, final time. Plant your palms, tuck your right toes. Send the left leg back, three-legged dog. Open the hip as you arrive. And just hang out here for a breath or two, feeling the left heel dropping to the right shoulder blade. On your inhale, send the left leg high. And on your exhale, release to downward facing dog. And from here, we'll be getting right into our next standing sequence. On the inhale, lift your right leg high. Exhale, step between your hands, warrior one, once again. So come up to your warrior one, create a strong structure with your low body. And once you've settled into warrior one, let's open up to a warrior two. So pivot the left toes to the side wall. Open your hips and torso that way as well. Arms are extended long front to back. And again, it's so important just to feel solid and stable on your feet. So make any adjustments that you need in order to feel that way. Now from warrior two, without changing your lower body too much, move to an extended side angle. So rest the right forearm on your right thigh. Bring your left arm up and over as you stretch your left fingertips to where the front wall and the ceiling meet. And you can either be heavy with the forearm on the thigh for more support, or you can be very light and just try to use your core to hold your torso in place. Now again, low body doesn't change too much on your inhale. As you reverse your warrior, reach your right arm up and back. Left hand can rest on the back of your left thigh. Now on your exhale, cartwheel your hands top of your mat. Step your right foot back to high plank pose. Pause here, prepare for side plank on the right. Right hand finds the center of your mat. Roll to the side of your right foot. Bring your left arm up above. Now for those of you that maybe have some delicate wrists or some wrist injuries, you can always modify into a forearm side plank. That way your wrist isn't bearing near the amount of weight. So you decide what feels right to you. Give it another moment if you can. On the exhale, left hand returns to the mat and either go through your flow or move directly into downward facing dog. Good work. Once you get back to down dog, getting right into the next side of the same sequence. On the inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, step between your hands. Rise up to warrior one. Once you've settled into this familiar warrior one pose, on your exhale, open up to warrior two. Try to have an equal weight distribution in both of your feet if possible. So we're not leaning too far forward. We're not being too far back. Shoulders are above the pelvis. Now on your exhale, move to an extended side angle. Left forearm, left thigh. Right arm comes up and over. Really try to feel the extension of your right fingertips away from the back edge of your right foot, which is firmly rooted into your mat. Now on your inhale, reverse warrior, left arm reaching up and back. And on the exhale, cascade your hands, top of the mat, left foot steps back, high plank, pausing here, setting up your side plank on the left. Left hand center, roll to the side of the left foot, bring your right arm up above. Now another side plank modification you can take is just set your left knee on the ground. Everything else can remain the same. And notice how that creates more support and structure for the pose if you need it. Now on your exhale, right hand finds the mat. Either go through your flow or press it directly back into downward facing dog. Once you get back to downward facing dog, we'll get right into our next standing sequence. On your next exhale, step or jump to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale to mountain pose. From mountain pose, on your exhale, find chair pose once again. Sink the hips back. Feel most of your weight residing in your heels. Core is nice and strong. Breath is deep and steady. We're going to start a prayer twist to the right. So place your hands at your heart and either bring your left elbow outside your right knee or thigh or rest the elbow between your knees for a gentler twist. Once you're in your twist, hands can either remain together or you can open up your arms from floor to ceiling. Try to find 2 more breaths in the pose. And on your exhale, forward fold. Bring your feet hip width apart. With the knees slightly bent, reach down with your 2 peace fingers and wrap them around your big toes. And there's a couple options here. The option that I usually choose is just to be loose, be easy, let gravity do all the work. Very passive pose. If you feel like you want to take it deeper, you're welcome to engage your biceps to draw yourself further into the fold. And slowly release the big toes. Start to bring the heels and toes back together. On your inhale, halfway lift. With your exhale, fold once more. Inhale, mountain pose. And once again, as you exhale, slide into chair pose. And for me, the best barometer for chair pose to know if you're in the right place is just being able to breathe. If you're in the pose and you're able to breathe deeply, you know you haven't gone too far. We'll set up our prayer twist left this time, hands to the heart. Core is activated. Right elbow either outside left knee or thigh, or the elbow rests between the knees. Hands can either remain together or feel free to explore and open up your arms. Either way, 2 more breaths if possible. And on your exhale, forward fold. Nice job. From here, bend your knees, sink your hips down into a squat. Preparing for crow pose arm balance today. So this is the arm balance that we usually work on in a lot of our power practices. And if you know where you're going, jump right into it. If you're looking for some tips or some cues, I like to begin up on the balls of my feet. My big toes are touching. My heels are touching. My knees are open. Arms drop down to the mat inside the knees. Palms are resting shoulder width apart. Knees come high onto the triceps. And then just bring your gaze forward, bring your vision forward. And as you gaze forward, let your weight shift forward to follow your gaze. And it's real slow, real easy. But as you shift your weight forward, feel the lightness developing in your feet. And once you get to the point where the feet are almost weightless, see if you can lift one or both of them off the ground. And I think all these arm balancing poses, and really all the poses at all, it's all about the attempt and the effort. The execution isn't as important as just giving it a try. There is no risk. So wherever you're at, be satisfied with that and maybe build upon it next time. But when you're done practicing your crow pose, we'll be meeting back in child's pose, making sure you grab some time to grab a drink or towel yourself off if you need to. And just grab a couple breaths here in child's pose. And we have one more standing sequence left. After this, we're on our mats the rest of the way. So let's see if we can finish up strong here. From child's pose, we'll be moving into downward facing dog. And from downward facing dog, on your exhale, step or jump to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, mountain pose. Once you arrive in mountain pose, place your hands upon your hips, preparing to balance on the right foot. So ground your right foot into the mat. Lift your left leg off the ground, knees bent 90 degrees. Slowly begin to straighten your left leg, but try not to lean back too much. Use your core to hold your torso vertical. Airplane pose will be next. Sweep the left leg back, Bring the crown of your head forward. Arms are at your sides, palms up or down, your choice. Bring your gaze to the ground in front of you and fixate your gaze on an unmoving point to help balance. Now with control, we'll be landing back in a crescent lunge. So land the left foot on the mat, stick the landing, bring your arms up above. Once you've found crescent lunge, open up to a warrior two. And stay in warrior two for just a moment. We're going to move to a Prostarita Pose. So begin to straighten the right leg, pivot the left toes to the left side of the room, place your hands on your hips. On your inhale, lift your chest slightly. On the exhale, the spine is long, fold at your hips. Then release your hands to the mat. And just take 3 or 4 breaths here. There's so many options in Prostarita. Hand placement can be the ground, the tops of your feet or your calves. If it feels better to slightly bend your knees, let that happen. Just take a couple more breaths. And if they're not there already, place your hands back upon the mat. Pivot your toes to the front of the room. Walk your hands to the top of the mat. Step your right foot back into high plank pose. Either go through your flow or move directly to downward facing dog. Great job. And we have our last side of this final standing sequence. On your exhale, step or jump to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale to mountain pose. Once again, place the hands upon the hips, standing up nice and tall. Ground your left foot into the mat. When you're ready, right leg rises off the ground, knee is bent 90 degrees. Start to straighten the right leg as you reach the sole of the foot forward. Let's get into airplane pose. Sweep the right leg back. Draw the crown of head forward. Imagine you're extending the sole of the right foot towards the back wall like you're going to make a footprint. Keep the core activated. Stabilize the pose. And light as a feather, land your right foot into crescent lunge. Nice work. Bring the arms overhead. Once you arrived in crescent, open it up to a warrior two. And once you've arrived in warrior two, getting into another Prostarita, straightening the left leg this time. Pivot the left toes to the right side of the room. Now for this Prostarita, let's start with the hands at the small of the back. And this is where you can use your towel or strap if you need to. I like to grasp the towel about 6 inches between my hands. Inhale the chest up slightly. Exhale, spine is long, fold at the hips. And as you do, reach your clasp hands or your hands gripping the towel up towards the ceiling. And just rinse out the upper body a little bit here. This is such a valuable pose to do after we've gone through all of our push-ups and planks and transitions, rinsing out that upper body that served you so well for today's practice. Now we'll release the hands to the mat. Pivot your toes forward. Walk your hands to the top of your mat. Step your left foot back to high plank pose. Pause in high plank. To your count of 5, fast or slow, come all the way down onto your mat. And once you arrive there, take a momentary rest. Place your left cheek on the mat. Let your arms go long at your sides, palms face up. Take 2 breaths to do absolutely nothing. You've earned it. Now we'll be moving right into our spine strengthening section. We'll begin with the Cobra Pose. So bring your chin back upon the mat. Place the hands beneath the shoulders. Zip your feet together. On your inhale, start to lift your head, shoulders, and chest off the mat. Now the palms can either stay on the ground for support, or you can hover them above your mat for a little bit of engagement in the upper back. Either way, take 2 or 3 more breaths, maintaining the pose. Now on the exhale, set yourself down. Rest your right cheek on the mat this time. Arms go long at your sides, flip your palms up. And again, grab a couple of deep breaths while really trying to disengage every muscle group that you can. Now our next belly pose will be a full locust pose. Bring your chin back to the mat. Keep your arms at your sides, palms face down. And on your inhale, lift the head, shoulders, and chest. If it's available, lift your arms. And if it's available still, float the legs off the ground as well. And while you're up, try to take 3 controlled breaths, maintaining the pose. And if you have to release any part of your body to the mat for more support, that's okay. Let it happen. Try to maintain 1 more inhale. On the exhale, release it down. Great job. Bring your left cheek to the mat. Arms remain at your sides, palms up. And take a couple of breaths here. And we'll be finishing up this belly sequence by taking Sphinx Pose, a supported and gentle back bend. Place your palms and your forearms upon the mat. Elbows are beneath the shoulders or slightly in front of them for a gentler stretch. On the inhale, press into the palms and the forearms. Lift your upper body off the ground. So head, shoulders, chest are lifted. Your hips remain on the mat, however. So that'll help you keep a nice solid grounding into the pose. And just rise up to your degree. Remember, we're shaping the poses based upon how they feel on our body. Take a few more breaths here. And before you exit the Sphinx pose, try to keep the spine long if you can as you come down. So as you exhale, not only are you coming down to the ground, you're also drawing your torso forward with your forearms. And then release. Great job. Right cheek is on the mat. Arms at your sides, palms up. Give the knees a little bend here. And windshield wiper the legs from side to side. And slowly release the legs back to the mat. Place your hands beneath your shoulders. Press yourself back to child's pose. And give yourself a moment or 2 in child's pose. From child's pose, we'll be moving into our final downward facing dog of the practice today. And from your downward facing dog, on your exhale, stepping to the top of your mat all the way through to your seat. And before you come onto your back, grab hold of your towel or your strap, and then come onto your back. And if you don't have a towel or a strap, don't worry. We'll be able to do the poses without them. But once you're on your back, set your strap aside for the moment. We'll be coming into a back bend, bridge pose. Arms are at your sides, palms down. Both knees are bent with the heels behind your seat. On your inhale, press into your feet as you lift your hips up off the ground. And we're going to give this one a nice long hold, 4 or 5 breaths, if possible. And once you've risen up, if you feel the need to go higher or go deeper into the pose, you can always rise onto the balls of your feet or your tiptoes, lifting the heels off the mat, driving the hips higher up. But know that you're in control and you determine the exact depth of each pose. And on a very long exhale, set one vertebrae down at a time as you release to the mat. Once you're down on the ground, give the knees a little windshield wiper from side to side. We'll be coming into a reclined butterfly pose. So place the soles of your feet together. Let your knees butterfly open. For me, I approach this pose in a really passive way. So I don't try to force my legs down any further. I let gravity kind of dictate how deep the pose goes. And if it does feel too intense, you can actually use your hands on the outer parts of your thighs to help support your legs to avoid getting too overburdened by it. Try and just breathe easy and deep for a couple more breaths. And slowly draw the knees back together. We'll be coming into a supine twist next. I'd like to come into it a slightly different way than maybe you're used to. So roll yourself onto your left side. Extend your left arm as far left as you can, palm is up. Rest the right arm on top of the left, palm facing down. Both knees are bent, right leg is stacked on the left. Now on your inhale, take your right arm and bring it all the way over to the right side of the space until your right shoulder blade touches the ground. Notice that by doing so, that may cause the knees to lift off the ground, and that's okay. Just kind of be here for a couple of breaths. Feeling a little bit of movement through the mid-back, through the thoracic spine. And slowly bring the right arm back over, stack it on top of the left, and roll over onto your right side, and we'll take the same thing from that side. So right arm reaching to the right, palm is up, left arm stacked above, left and right, or left leg stacked on top of the right, knees bent. And as you inhale, bring the left arm all the way over until you feel that shoulder blade touch. Now bring the left arm back over, stack it on top of the right. Now move yourselves onto your back. Before we rest, I'd like to finish by using the strap or your towel. So bend both knees, gather the strap in your hands, and then from here, bring your right leg towards you. Take the strap or your towel, put it around the ball of your right foot. I'd like to start by opening the hips. So gather the strap in the right hand. Now you can either keep your left foot on the ground with the knee bent, or you can extend the left leg in front for a little deeper stretch. Once you're in position, gather the strap in the right hand and use your right hand to help guide your right hip open. So let your right leg start to fall off to the right side. Make sure you're using that right arm to help position it correctly for you. And once you feel like you've gotten into a nice hip opening stretch, let's hold here and breathe for a couple rounds. Now bring the leg back to the center. Keep the strap on the right foot, but switch it over to your left hand. Now use your left hand to help guide your right leg across your body. And see if you can feel a stretch or a lengthening developing in the IT band, that group of connective tissue that runs along the outer part of the right leg. And for some of you, you may not have to bring your leg too far across at all to feel it. Others may need to bring it further. Again, embrace the uniqueness of your body and of your yoga practice. Now slowly bring the leg back to the center. Keep the strap on the right foot, but gather it in both hands. Let's finish with a nice deep hamstring stretch. So use both hands to help guide your right toes down towards your face. And your hamstrings will tell you when to stop. So let your body decide how far the pose goes. And slowly release the stretch. Bend your right knee, take the strap off of your right foot, and set the right foot down. We'll switch sides. Take the strap around the ball of your left foot, and we'll start with that hip opening pose. Gather the strap in your left hand. Right leg can go long in front. Help guide your hip open, dropping the left leg off to the left. And once you reach your stopping point, pause here, take 2 or 3 full breaths. Now slowly guide the leg back to the center. Strap remains on the left foot, but switch it over to your right hand. Start to bring your left leg across your body, getting into the IT band. And as the poses get more intense, that's when we really rely upon our breathing. So the more intense the pose, the more relaxed and deeper you can breathe. That'll help even out everything. Start to bring the leg back to the center. Before we rest, we'll finish with one final hamstring stretch. Take the strap in both hands. Start to draw your left toes down towards your face. Trying to finish with a nice, deep lengthening of the hamstring. And slowly release the pose. Bend your left knee, remove the strap or towel from your left foot, set it aside. Let your left leg join the right one long in front of you. Arms come to rest at your sides, palms facing up. Settling into this final and much deserved resting pose, Shavasana. And slowly begin to awaken, moving your fingertips and your toes. Now, nice and easy, start to stretch your arms towards the back of your space. And slowly begin to bend each of your knees, drawing the heels close behind your seat. And take your time as you roll onto your right side. And once you feel complete, eyes can remain closed as you rise to a comfortable and cross-legged seat. Palms are together at your heart. Ending today's practice by sending gratitude to ourselves and also to our fellow practitioners. Bowing forward. Namaste.